Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
And Tony, so I want to start by getting your initial reaction to the guidance that protects religious expression of civil servants, federal workers. Clearly, this is something that I would imagine you welcome.
Well, it is, John, but it's in keeping. We need to understand this is in keeping with federal statutes and the Constitution. I mean, what we have in the Constitution is a prohibition against a religious test to hold public office or public trust. So that's always been in our Constitution. You cannot be forced to have a religion in order to hold a post. But what has happened in the last, I don't know, 5 decades is that's been turned on its head, where if you test positive for religion, you're excluded from a public trust or a public position. So this is good news. So what we now have is pagan pride no longer has a monopoly on the federal workplace. And so the constitutional rights of Christians are now being protected. That is good news.
You know, Tony, Michelle listed some examples from the guidance, you know, keeping a Bible on your desk or inviting a coworker to church. You know, I was reading today even wearing a necklace, a cross necklace. These things, were they not protected beforehand, before this guidance?
Well, they were, but they weren't. They were protected under the Constitution, but you had to oftentimes go to court in order to protect yourself. And most federal employees are not going to have the ability to go to court to protect their constitutional rights. And by basically the intimidation and the freezing out of religion of the workplace, that's what we've seen under hostile administrations. And it's not just Democratic administrations. We've seen that in some Republican administrations. So I applaud the Trump administration for this vibrant effort to protect constitutional rights of all Americans. And again, just abide by the Constitution. No religious test, no reverse religion test. So if you're a Christian and you test positive for that, you cannot be excluded from the federal workforce. So this is, again, good news, and you can share your faith. You can pray with your coworkers. It's a positive thing.
Tony, I actually recall the case of the court-martialed Marine. Her name was Monica Sterling, for not removing a Bible verse from her desk. It was Isaiah 54, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I want to ask you about this guidance. Go ahead.
No, well, I mean, that's a great example, John, because you could have a saying from, you know, some great philosopher, but if you had a Bible verse, you had to take it down. So and it was on a computer screen, if I believe it was a screensaver. So, I mean, I think that's a great point. This way, all speech is protected.
I want to ask you about the guidance that's being met with criticism, as Michelle reported, from advocates for the separation of church and state. Could it, Tony, in some ways create situations where employees feel like they can only advance or share their faith if they share their boss's religious views?
I think there's less of a chance happening now than what we had previously, when we had the whole pride LGBTQ agenda being forced down the throats of federal employees, where if you didn't have a pride sticker on your desk, or that you didn't bow to the pride flag, that you were somehow stigmatized or even demoted in some cases. So I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think it'll be aggressively policed. But I think, again, it allows people to bring their faith into the workplace. They don't have to leave Jesus in the car anymore. They can bring him into the workplace, and they can talk about him, and they can share encouragement with their coworkers.
That's a good way to put it. All right, Tony, we will leave it there. Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, thank you. Nice to see you.